Usually when we sit down for a deep dive, we're looking at a stack of tech journals, maybe some recent political op-eds.
Right, or a collection of scientific studies.
Exactly. We're trying to find the signal and the noise of, modern life.
Right. Usually we're trying to figure out where the market is going or what the latest health trend actually means for your daily routine.
Exactly.
Oh.
But today, the stack you have brought to the table is, well, it's frankly intimidating.
It is a heavy stack. I mean, literally and metaphorically.
We aren't looking at this week's news. We're looking at texts that have defined civilizations for millennia.
We have the Qur'an, the Bible, the Dhammapada, and the Bhagavad Gita.
And the Ashtavakra Gita, thrown in for good measure.
That's right.
And I want to be clear right off the bat, the mission here isn't to do a comparative religion class.
No, absolutely not.
We aren't trying to debate theology or, say who's right.
Yeah, it would take a lifetime. And honestly, it misses the point of why we gathered these specific excerpts.
Right. We're doing what we always do, looking for the pattern. We've isolated a single specific philosophical thread that seems to be woven through every single one of these traditions.
And what's wild is that despite the different languages, the different eras, the different cultural contexts,
the diagnosis is almost identical.
It is eerie, isn't it? When you strip away the rituals, the cultural dressing, you find this core argument.
A universal theory of why humans suffer.
And more importantly, how to stop.
So let's set the stage. What is this central thesis we're exploring today?
Well, it really comes down to a case of mistaken identity.
Okay.
The sources are unanimous. Humans suffer because they think they are their bodies. They identify with the physical form and the ego.
That's the trap.
That's the trap. And the way out the liberation is realizing that you are actually something else entirely. You are the consciousness observing the body.
It sounds so simple when you say it like that. I am not my body.
It does.
But living that's the hardest thing in the world. We wake up, we look in the mirror, we feel hungry, we feel pain. It feels pretty real.
It feels undeniably real. But these texts argue that failing to make that shift isn't just a minor error, it's the root of all bondage.
They don't just say, it's better to be spiritual.
No. They basically say, if you think you are your body, you are in a cage.
Let's start with that word bondage, because that implies a trap. And I was really struck by how the Islamic texts in our stack frame this.
Right.
We're looking at Surah Ashams from the Qur'an.
Specifically verses 7 through 9. This is a profound section. The text talks about the nafs.
The nafs. Now, for someone hearing that for the first time, we usually translate that as self or ego.
Ego works, but it's almost more visceral than that. It's the lower self.
Yeah.
It's the part of you that wants things, fears things, gets angry, gets hungry. It's the biological and psychological drive mechanism.
The source quotes the verse. And by the nafs and he who proportioned it, he inspired it with discernment of its wickedness and its righteousness.
And that's interesting because it implies the nafs isn't inherently evil.
It's capable of both.
Exactly. It's a tool. It's capable of going either way. But here's the pivot point. The verse continues. He has succeeded who purifies it.
In the inverse.
He who limits himself to the nafs and the body remains in bondage.
That is such a strong distinction. If you just let the nafs run the show, if you limit your identity to, I am this person who wants this stuff, you aren't free.
You're reacting. You're essentially an animal on a leash, led around by desires and fears. That is the bondage.
So you think you're making choices.
You think you're making choices. I want that car. I want that food. But really, your biology and your conditioning are making them for you. You're just along for the ride.
There's another verse here that really drives the illusion aspect home. Surah Al-Hadid, verse 20.
Yes.
It describes worldly life as
play, amusement, and show.
Show. That's stuff. It feels very modern, actually. Like we're all curating a profile.
It is performative. The source material interprets this as saying that a body-centric identity is basically a costume drama. It isn't the bedrock reality.
So if you're obsessed with the show, your status, your possessions, how you look,
you're investing in a depreciating asset.
You're investing in the costume, not the actor.
Precisely. And the text contrasts this show with haqiqat reality. Getting lost in the show keeps you trapped.
Okay, so in the Islamic view, the trap is the unpurified nafs and the illusion of the worldly show. Now, if we slide the microscope over to the Christian text, the terminology changes, but the mechanism looks suspiciously similar.
It does. We're looking at the Bible, specifically Romans chapter 8. Here, the key word isn't nafs, it's flesh.
The verse says, Those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh.
And again, we have to be careful with definitions here. Flesh in this context doesn't just mean skin and bones. It means the mindset of the finite. It is the exact parallel to the nafs. It's the self that is obsessed with survival, status, and pleasure.
And the text contrasts this with living according to the Spirit.
Right. It sets up a binary. You're either operating from the mindset of the flesh or the mindset of the spirit. There isn't really a middle ground here.
And the consequences are just as stark. The source notes say that living in the body equates to slavery.
Slavery, that is the word. It isn't just naughty or sinful in a moralistic sense. It is a structural problem.
If your mind is consumed by the things of the flesh, you are a slave to the immediate.
You lose your autonomy.
It's interesting how both traditions frame this. They don't say the world is evil.
No.
They don't say having a body is a crime. They say identifying with the physical anchor is the problem. It's the mindset.
That's a crucial nuance. It is not that having a body is a sin. You need a body to exist here. The error is setting your mind on the flesh, thinking that the biological vessel is who you are.
So we have the nafs and the flesh acting as this cage. Now, this is where the conversation usually stops in a lot of Western discourse, sin versus virtue. But when we bring in the Eastern traditions from our stack,
they take this idea of mistaken identity and they treat it almost like a physics problem.
it becomes much more clinical.
It's about the mechanics of perception and reality.
Let's look at the Hindu texts. We have the Bhagavad Gita and the Ashtavakra Gita.
Right.
And in the Bhagavad Gita, there's this concept of the field. This body is called the field.
I love this metaphor because a field is just, well, it's just a location.
It's a locus of activity. Things grow in a field, battles are fought in a field, weather happens to a field, but the field itself is passive.
And the text distinguishes the field from the knower of the field.
The Kshatrojna. This is the game changer. The body is the landscape where your life happens, but you, the real, you are the one observing the landscape. You are the knower.
The problem then is when the knower gets confused and thinks they are the field.
Exactly. Imagine a farmer standing in his field and suddenly he starts thinking he is the dirt.
That's madness.
He thinks he is the corn growing out of the ground. He'd be terrified every time a tractor came by.
He would be terrified of the harvest. He'd be terrified of the drought. And that is what the text says we are doing. We are the conscious observer, but we have become so entangled with the field, the body, that we suffer every time it changes, and the field always changes.
The Ashtavakra Gita is even more blunt about this.
Oh, it doesn't beat around the bush at all.
Chapter 1, verse 1, it says, if you consider yourself the body, you are in bondage.
It is a simple if-then statement. No moral judgment, just cause and effect. If A, then B.
And the flip side is just as direct.
If you know yourself as consciousness, you are free.
We'll get to freedom in a minute, but I want to stick with this diagnosis, because Buddhism comes in next. And if Hinduism says, you are confusing the farmer with the field.
Then Buddhism says, let's analyze the field and prove to you that it can't possibly be the farmer.
Right. This is the Dhammapada, verse 279, the concept of anatma.
Non-self.
Yes.
All things are anatma. All component things are non-self. The key to wisdom is seeing that these physical parts, your limbs, your brain, your thoughts, are not me.
The source note is really specific here. It says, believing the body is I creates suffering.
Dukkha, suffering. That's the Buddhist equivalent of bondage. And the logic is watertight. The body is impermanent.
It gets sick, it ages, it dies.
So if you cling to it and say, this is me, you are setting yourself up for guaranteed heartbreak. You're building your house on quicksand and then complaining when it sinks.
So let's synthesize the trap before we move on. We have 4 different vocabularies here. The nafs in Islam.
The flesh in Christianity.
The field in Hinduism.
And the anatma nature of the body in Buddhism.
And they all point to the same thing. The transient, physical, biological aspect of our existence.
And the universal warning is, do not mistake this for your true self. If you do, the result is unanimous.
Bondage, slavery, illusion, suffering.
It's like being in a movie theater. If you get so absorbed in the movie that you think you are the character on screen, every plot twist destroys you.
You're crying, you're sweating, you're terrified.
And these texts are grabbing you by the shoulder and saying, hey, you are sitting in a chair. It is just light on a screen.
That's a terrifying but also hopeful realization. Because if the problem is just a case of mistaken identity,
then the solution doesn't require us to change the world.
We don't need to fix the screen.
You just need to remember you're in the audience. You don't need to fix the field. You just need to realize you are the knower. And that is where all four traditions pivot.
From the trap to the path of liberation.
They don't just leave you in the trap. They show you the way out.
So let's walk that path. We've established the cage. What's the key?
The key is shifting your identity to the spirit, the consciousness, the witness.
Let's go back to the Bible. Galatians 5:1. Christ has set us free for freedom.
It sounds almost redundant, doesn't it? Free for freedom.
A little bit, yeah.
But in this context, it's profound. Based on our discussion from Romans, the source interprets this freedom as being established in the spirit.
The antithesis of the slavery of the body.
Exactly. True freedom isn't, I can eat whatever I want. That's actually slavery to the belly. True freedom is autonomy from the compulsion of the flesh.
So freedom is an internal state. You're not jerked around by your impulses.
Yes. It's a shift in your center of gravity. You move from the fluctuating, needy body to the stable, eternal spirit.
And Hinduism describes this stability as the witness.
The Sakshi. This is central to the Ashtavakra Gita. If you know yourself as consciousness, you are free.
Consciousness here being Chaitanya.
Yes, and specifically the stance of the witness. The source material highlights this contrast. Bondage from the body, liberation from consciousness.
There's that famous quote from the Bhagavad Gita, the soul is neither born nor does it die.
Think about the implications of that. If you identify with the body, death is the ultimate catastrophe. It's the end of you.
Right.
But if you identify with the Atma, the consciousness, which is unborn and undying, what is there to fear?
Fear dissolves.
And when fear dissolves, you are free. You realize you cannot be threatened. The field can be burned, but the knower cannot be burnt.
That's a massive psychological shift. It's the ultimate security.
It changes everything. You stop moving through life defensively. You stop trying to protect something that is destined to break anyway.
And you inhabit the part of you that is unbreakable.
Exactly.
Now, looking back at the Islamic text, Surah Ashams, we talked about purifying the Nafs. The source explains the meaning, the pavarth, as one who rises above the Nafs moves toward liberation.
Rising above. I like that spatial imagery. It's about hierarchy. Who is in charge?
Is the Nafs driving the bus? Or is the higher self, the purified awareness, in control?
Right. It's not about destroying the self then.
Right.
It's about correcting it. The verse says the nafs is inspired with both wickedness and righteousness. Purifying it means aligning it with that higher truth.
You become the master of the house, not the servant?
Yes. And finally, Buddhism. The Dhammapada passage we looked at ends with a promise.
He who sees this as it really is, meaning seeing that the body is not self, is freed from sorrow.
And the source notes connect this directly to knowing the witness consciousness. And that knowledge is equated with nirvana.
See, people often think nirvana means nothingness or void.
Right, they think it means you cease to exist. But here, based on our text, it's framed as liberation from sorrow.
Through the realization of the witness consciousness.
You stop suffering because you stop taking the temporary things personally. You witness them, but you aren't entangled in them.
You are watching the storm, but you aren't getting wet.
Precisely. You are the sky. The storm happens in the sky, but the sky is not wet. The sky is not hurt.
So let's bring this all together, because this is the deep dive, and we want to synthesize this.
It really is a singular truth.
On one side, you have the body, the nafs, the flesh, the field. Identifying with this leads to bondage, slavery, illusion, suffering.
That's the universal problem, the diagnosis.
And on the other side, you have consciousness, spirit, the knower, the witness. Identifying with this leads to freedom, success, truth, nirvana.
The cure.
It's fascinating how the spirit in Romans aligns so perfectly with the knower in the Gita.
They fill the same structural role. They're the eternal aspect of the self that stands apart from the physical machinery.
And the purified nafs in the Qur'an aligns with the realization of anatma in the Dhammapada.
Yes. Both involve a negation of the lower impulses, whether you call it purifying the ego or realizing the non-self nature of the ego. The functional result is the same.
You stop being a slave to your own biology.
Right. The source text summarizes this beautifully. Bondage from the body, liberation from consciousness.
It's the ultimate binary, and it challenges us to ask ourselves constantly, dozens of times a day, which one am I right now?
Am I the body getting annoyed that I'm hungry or tired? Or am I the consciousness observing that the body is hungry or tired?
That's the practical application, isn't it? It's a shift in vantage point.
Exactly. It's moving from the seen to the seer. Most of us live our lives entirely in the seen.
They're obsessed with the objects, the events, the news, the body.
And these texts are urging us to turn around 180 degrees and look at the seer, the one who is watching the show.
The witness consciousness.
Yes, because the witness is never hurt. The witness is never hungry. The witness never dies. The witness is just aware.
And in that awareness, there is total freedom.
It makes you rethink the way we live. We spend so much time trying to fix the field, trying to make our bodies look better, live longer.
Trying to satisfy every desire of the flesh.
But if these texts are right, we're just polishing the cage.
You can make the cage very comfortable. You can put velvet cushions in it.
Decorate it with gold. But it's still a cage. The only way out is to realize you aren't the bird in the cage. You are the sky outside of it.
That is, Bill, that's a radical shift. It makes the daily grind feel a little less heavy when you look at it that way.
It is. And that's why we call this a deep dive. These texts are demanding a fundamental restructuring of what we think we are.
So, to recap our journey today, we looked at the Qur'an, the Bible, the Dhammapada, and the Gita, and they agree on this fundamental point.
The body is a field, a vessel, a test.
But it is not you. It's the vehicle, not the driver.
And the true identity, whether you call it spirit, atma, or witness consciousness, is the path to liberation.
And this isn't about escaping the world.
No, not at all. It's about living in the world, but not being of the world. It's about navigating the field with the wisdom of the knower.
It transforms life from a desperate struggle for survival into a play that you can watch with detachment.
Precisely. When you know it's a show, you can enjoy the drama without being devastated by the tragedy.
You are the witness.
It's rare to see such alignment. Usually we focus on the differences, the rituals, the holidays.
It suggests this isn't a cultural invention, it's a discovery.
These sages and prophets, deep in meditation or prayer, touched the same fundamental reality of human consciousness.
They just use different words to describe the same mechanism.
The mechanism of the witness. Sakshi Chetna. That's the final realization here. The ultimate freedom described in all four traditions isn't about changing the world around you.
It isn't about getting a better body or a better life situation.
It is about recognizing the self as the observer, separate from the transient vessel.
That is a powerful place to land. It really puts the ball in our court.
Right.
We don't need to travel anywhere or buy anything to find this freedom.
It's a mental shift. It's the closest thing to us, closer than our own breath.
I want to leave everyone with a thought to carry into the week. We've talked about the doer, the one who acts, struggles, and stresses. We've talked about the witness, the one who observes. Based on everything we've read today, from the banks of the Ganges to the deserts of Arabia, the ancient wisdom suggests one simple thing. The simple act of shifting your identity from the doer to the witness is the universal key to immediate liberation.